What's up, everybody? This is Kevin Clune here. Today I'm going to take you through the top 5 mistakes that MSPs make when launching LinkedIn ads. So first we're going to start with choosing objectives. So this is the first step when creating a LinkedIn ads campaign, and it's really just selecting the objective that you have in order to create the campaign. So ultimately this is when you're telling LinkedIn what's most important for you. On most occasions, you really just want traffic. So it can be really tempting at this point just to select website visits and then move on. If you do, though, you're really missing out on one of the key byproducts of launching these ads, which is getting new followers, building that organic audience. So when you select engagement, your ads will actually feature a follow button, which will help to build that audience as you drive traffic to your site. So I've tested the same ads to the same audience, only one using a traffic objective and the other using an engagement objective, and I've actually found that the click-through rate is almost the same. Really, the big difference is the engagement rate is dramatically different, and it's much higher with the engagement campaigns. So this is important later on when we get into bid type, but for this step, my recommendation is to always use engagement for your general top of funnel campaigns. Now we're getting into our target audience. After you've selected the geographic area that you want to target, you're going to have a lot of other options now to narrow your audience down even further. When I work with MSPs to build out these campaigns, I always have them start with this very simple 3-prong approach. We basically want to narrow it down by industry, company size, and job titles. So as you can see by my examples here, I'm going to target law firms with over 50 employees, and I've selected all the job titles that are likely to be decision makers at these firms. As you build this audience, you want to really keep an eye out on the audience size, which is up here in the top right, and make sure that it makes sense for your service area. If it says that there's 100,000 lawyers in your area and there's only 500,000 people that live there, there's probably something that isn't right. The most common problem that I've seen is that the conjunction is wrong. So, keep an eye on what conjunction you're using when you're adding multiple targeting methods. So this could be why your number looks completely out of whack. When you narrow down an audience, your logic should be and. If it says or, then you may be showing your ad to people that don't actually fit the criteria. So next up on the list is the audience expansion. So I always make sure that I uncheck this box when creating a campaign. So I went through all the trouble of finding the exact target audience that I want for my ads. No offense, LinkedIn, but I'm not going to let you screw that up at this point. So I had a few campaigns running last year that were performing really well, and I essentially had an unlimited budget on them. So I was limited by the size of the audience, not necessarily how much I wanted to spend. So I went ahead and I activated this audience expansion, and it was the first time I've ever done it, but I really just wanted to see what happened. So this ended up being a pretty big mistake. My spending just took off like a rocket, and the results basically just nosedived. So, and actually, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but the campaign hasn't really performed as well ever since. So this feature may work for some people, but it has never really worked for me, and I just avoid it. So if you want more traffic, just create a second campaign, maybe try some different targeting methods. For example, instead of the 3-prong targeting to attorneys, maybe I'll try to target like local LinkedIn groups, for example, maybe the Bar Association. The next thing you will hit as you scroll the page is the LinkedIn Audience Network. So this is another uncheck for me. LinkedIn partners with a bunch of different publishers to show your ads across sites other than LinkedIn feed. So while this sounds like it'd be a great way to get more traffic, there's really a lot of problems that I don't believe they've probably worked out in order to make this effective. So the first thing that I notice is that, in their support documentation, they basically say that the ad can show up in any format and any size that LinkedIn's system just dynamically does for you. So this means that the post that I'm promoting with this campaign might be turned into an ad using like only the image and the link that I provided and maybe not the accompanying text. Or, it could just be that the image doesn't fit the specs of the publisher's site and they automatically crop it for you. So, what also sucks about this feature is that the reporting doesn't allow you to see conversions like on an individual site level. So even though you do have one of these third-party placements that are performing well, you won't actually be able to know which one it is. So again, I don't have a problem with leveraging these third-party publishers. This is something that I do all the time with Google Ads. But for me, it's more about the ability to optimize and manage the campaign. And this is a little bit of a wild card when it comes to LinkedIn. And finally, and most importantly, we're on to the bid type. So this is where you can really get tripped up and blow away your money with absolutely nothing to show for it. First and foremost, never select automated bid, which will be the default selection for this field. LinkedIn's idea of what an impression should cost and your idea are going to be two very different figures. I actually can't think of a circumstance where it would make sense to just allow them to set your bid, especially when there's several other bidding options to work from. The big type that I always recommend using is CPM. In this case, your bid is for 1,000 impressions. This is a pretty fail-safe bidding strategy, and if your ads are hyper-relevant, which they should be, then it really is going to perform well. So I would put in $1 into the bid field and just let it tell you what the minimum bid will be. So you'll immediately get an error and said, your bid must be at least this much. So this will vary based on the audience that you target. So for example, it's going to cost more to target people with the title of CEO than it would be to target people with, let's say, junior account manager. So with the starting minimum bid or slightly above, then you work your way up as you start to see results and want more traffic. If you're getting a click-through rate of above, let's say, 1.5% for a top-of-funnel campaign, you're going to be able to get clicks far less than the cost per click minimum, which even allows. So this is the biggest advantage of bidding on a CPM basis. And this is why I love this bidding strategy, because it essentially rewards you financially for good ads that are relevant to your audience. It also encourages segmenting the audience into multiple campaigns and then tweaking each one to improve the click-through and lower your cost. So that's it for the big 5 mistakes that I often see when it comes to LinkedIn ads. I hope you guys find this helpful. If you're interested in learning more, hit the link right here and grab a free coaching session. Good luck.